Când vorbim despre proiectele de Smart City, sigur că trebuie să înțelegem verticala de Smart Mobility și în orice proiect creativ inteligent, în orice proiect de Smart City, indiferent de mărimea acestuia, evident că trebuie să înțelegem și sistemele de parcare, foarte importante, cu foarte multă tehnologie și evident acestea trebuie să țină pasul, mai ales cu ceea ce doriți dumneavoastră, cu ceea ce doresc instituțiile publice, dar și cu ceea ce se întâmplă în realitate, la firul ierbii. Ăsta este motivul pentru care stăm de vorbă astăzi cu Steven din partea companiei Flowbird. Steven este reprezentantul companiei pe 5 continente și are o mare experiență atunci când vorbim de sistemele de parcare. Evident, în calitate de partener al companiei fastPark în România, vom vorbi despre cum se dezvoltă verticala de Smart Mobility în România, dar mai ales care sunt noile tehnologii pe care le putem aduce în comunitățile noastre. Steven, welcome to Romania, welcome to Bucharest. If I understand correctly, you know very well our smart mobility market, let's say.
Thanks for having me. Yes, I've been active in the Romanian market for, I think, about 15, 16 years. Yeah.
So you know how the smart mobility is growing in Romania?
First of all, the Romanian market is a market which started off in a very basic way. I think even back into the 90s with relatively simple low-level technical solutions. Think of the city of Cluj-Napoca, as well as other cities, Deva, and so on. So there was little progress for many, many years. Okay, so that's we've seen kind of a parallel developments in other East European markets. Afterwards, I think the focus for Flowbird was more onto the north of East Europe, like countries like Poland, where the market suddenly was booming, and I think that Romania now is following the same speed as what Poland was doing back, let's say, 10 years ago in terms of on-street parking and mobility solutions. Yeah.
From your experience, what is the potential for our smart mobility project in Romania?
I see the potential as big. First of all, of course, you're not a small country. You're a country which is far away the biggest in Southeast Europe, with about 20 million inhabitants. So big cities as well. A lot of concentration of big cities,
with a lot of pressure.
With a lot of pressure, a lot of inhabitants, a lot of movement. I mean. So there is there are big opportunities to develop further the smart city mobility solutions in the Romanian market.
Tell us more about Flowbird. What is Flowbird, first of all?
Flowbird has been known in the Romanian market previously under other names like Schlumberger in the very past up to Parkion. Kale, so because at a certain about 3-4 years ago we merged together with player in the smart mobility, and Flowbird today has two main departments, which is one is the on-street parking market, or the parking market in global, because we are getting active more and more in off-street parking solutions as well. And the other department is more related to ticket vending through transport, so in-bus meter solutions, railway solutions for ticket vending, and so on. So we are active in those two domains. And what is basically happening today is that more and more those two departments are merging together. In the context just of what we call smart mobility, through either the same means of payment, so more digital means of payment that are coming across.
We talk a lot in Romania about digital transformation, which of course include digitalization of different public sectors.
Yes.
The smart mobility will be one of the most digitalized verticals in our cities.
Yes.
Tell us more about the technology that you used in your solution.
Okay, so Flowbird in origin is a hardware manufacturer. So we came from a total other world than the digital world. Obviously, with the intro of the smartphones and so on, so we had to shift towards more digital solutions. So we We're one of the first early adopters in the parking market to work with connected terminals.
Yes, but also in smart mobility we have this problem not only in Romania. We have too many software providers and very few providers of hardware equipment.
That's correct.
So this is a great advantage for you in
Romania
and not only in Romania.
Exactly, yeah. It's a great advantage because basically if you look at the smart parking, we do cover, let's say, the whole range of products, going from sales up to the connectivity and the connected terminals into a platform. And it could even be a third-party player in the game. I mean, a third-party mobile phone payment supplier or third-party terminal even, that we all connect in the same platform. And from there, we do integrated solutions, for instance, on the enforcement side, okay? Because parking and enforcement always goes hand in hand. There is no solution for parking without a proper enforcement solution. And then there are all kind of services built from that platform towards either the operators of the parking as well as the end users.
Tell us more about this service.
Therefore, maybe I need to draw a little picture on what today exists in Romania. So today in Romania, you still have what we call the pay and display format. Okay, a pay and display means that you pay and you receive a ticket and you display. And the enforcement solution is basically checking the tickets one by one in every individual car. So the digitalization in the parking is that you...
It's the opposite.
Yeah, you dematerialize the parking, so all the tickets become virtual and they have to be stored. And the enforcement is not looking anymore for the individual ticket on the car, but is looking for the ticket, the virtual ticket in the platform. Okay. Once you have those virtual tickets, you can imagine that you can do a lot of additional services. First of all, for the city and the operators, the enforcement becomes a lot more efficient because you can target non-paid cars. As you individualize the ticket through the license plate or through another way, I mean, so you can offer individual services to the drivers itself. For instance, a city can implement a rule where you say this car is a car from a resident of a city, certain city, and he will have certain rights in certain zones of the city. That's a service that you can deduct from the fact that you more personalize a parking ticket.
Let's go back to the technologies side from this point of view. You talked earlier about the merging about hardware and software. Tell us more about your experience and how do you think the technology will go further?
Yeah, the merger of the hardware and the software is the fact that I can start a parking session on a parking terminal. I can extend on the mobile phone or the SMS or through SMS payment. Okay, so this is a clear interaction between all the sales channels. Individually today, even if you look at the tenders in the Romanian market, they very often tender only for parking terminals. They tender very often only for enforcement or only for the future tender in the Romanian market. Ideally, like what happens in many West European countries.
I think in Europe, not only in Romania.
No, in Europe, yeah, but in Europe it's already happening.
Yeah.
You look for integrated solutions. I give you a good example, for instance, is the city of Brussels. The city of Brussels consists of Brussels itself, which is the very center, but has 19 surrounding cities. Okay, every city had its own power of decision, so they every time tendered for a parking solution. This parking solution was sometimes different from the neighboring, although they commonly share streets, for instance. Okay, so that means that depending on where you live or park, the rules were very different. So the city of Brussels decided to make an integrated parking solution. So they created a specific department for this, and they tendered for the platform. Okay, in this platform, they asked the winner of the bid, which was Flowbird, to integrate 9 mobile phones payment solutions. They integrated 2 hardware solutions for on-street parking. So next steps is to go for residential permit schemes to integrate them as well. So to have one common system, one management tool, one reporting, one whatever you can imagine, from where you can deduct services for all inhabitants.
We don't have this approach of smart mobility. Not even in Bucharest. In Bucharest, we have one city with 7 other cities, because we have 7 district city halls. But also we should try at least to understand what will be the future of this kind of project in terms of integration. And this is the reason that we have to understand how technology can help. Let's say from my point of view as a simple citizen, from the point of view of a company, why not? And of course for the city hall. What are the main beneficiaries for city halls?
Well, the city hall in this case will have a unified, of course, a unified system. Okay, will be able to allow as many sales channels as possible, so to give comfort to every citizen. Okay, that means whether there is a Romanian solution existing in Cluj-Napoca or in Timișoara that can be integrated also into the context of Bucharest. So Bucharest has every interest to allow many means of payment in order to comfort the citizens. Okay, so they have one unique platform for so easy to manage.
I like this concept. I like this concept, the comfort of citizen.
Yeah, it is a comfort for citizen to pay, to be able, but also obviously parking is traditional benefits of creating revenue for the city, which they can reinvest in social projects or in improvement of transports. You know, it's no secret, I suppose, for those who introduce an automated parking system, an integrated parking system, that they will gain a lot of revenue in order to reinvest in infrastructure works or others, social projects. So, and obviously finding a parking space, because just to give you an example, many cities are introducing what we call parking guidance. I mean, even for on-street, this system is quite known for off-street car parks. And when you see the LEDs above the car parks, you enter and you see free spaces, or you're guided to. Also in what we call the machine learning technology today, you can implement those type features in the on-street parking environment. So to give the citizen the way to find parking spots even on street. You know?
And the comfort zone.
And the comfort zone again. So for the citizen has every interest. You know, like you can deduct a lot of kind of services. And I can maybe add one very important. You know, sometimes they say that the digital solution will remove the hardware from the streets. Okay, but as you can see, the hardware will become more and more digitalized as well, in the sense that you work with bigger screens, touch screens, and will be not that much a parking terminal or a standalone terminal within the city.
But eventually everything will go to your phone.
For instance, but you know, you can duplicate services on a parking terminal as well, as long as you have the big screen. You can imagine that tomorrow you do a project on EV charging. The parking terminal already offers you a means of payment or the processing of certain payments for parking. You can easily add other infrastructure like for EV charging to introduce payment through the existing infrastructure that you already have installed for parking. So you know, the parking terminal also changes and becomes not that much a parking terminal, but rather a kiosk, a kind of multi-service kiosk in the street for several purposes. So also in the Romanian market, we already have introduced together with our partner fastPark many projects in that way. I mean, that means we are trying to build ecosystems today around parking, where we use the terminal still as means of payment, whether it's a banknote acceptance, coins, or credit card.
Tell us more about the project from Cluj.
But in Cluj with...
because we have this approach with, can you pay with coins or with
the
credit card, contactless.
Yeah, the contactless
This is
card.
the reason that in the last year they have a lot of different payments with contactless.
Yes.
And if I know well, 2 months ago they received European awards for the number of.
Really, I was not even aware of this.
Yeah,
congratulations to Bluz.
Yeah.
So in any case, yes, we do offer a lot of means of payment. Okay, that means we go through the terminals in a coins environment, banking solution, in even a contactless only solution, so not even the chip anymore. So we then have the SMS parking. I think we do some off-street car park solutions as well, where we do have mobile phone payment solutions. So there is a wide range of possibilities to pay with different means of payment. So it's comfort again for the end user. And again, for the city as an operator, they have all information gathered in one back office, uniquely there for the purpose of having an enforcement all gathered across all sales channels.
Stephen, what kind of recommendation do you have for the Romanian authorities? What about the regulation in our city hall?
It's quite a difficult question, of course, because I'm not the specialist of the Romanian regulations.
But you see so many models, even in Romania we have different approach from Iași to Cluj, from Cluj to Constanța.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
We have so many models.
I think first of all, in most of the Western European countries, there is the existence of what we call a parking association. I think that at one time it would be interesting for the Romanian market to create a parking association. Okay, so this is where all the industries and the cities are gathering together and gain force in order to force regulations upon the government or whatever it is, whatever is needed to establish a proper parking policy. Because indeed it's a little bit scattered. The parking market today is still very centrically organized. It's not very widespread within the cities. It's very small projects happening in the very heart of the city.
What is the reason?
There's not a kind of a common policy here. I made reference to the Brussels reference. Should be very big example for what could happen in Bucharest, for instance. Okay, with the several districts existing. Or Prague is also a good example of how they manage the overall parking policy. But also for other cities, you see very not harmonized way of organizing the parking, and still see the very individual verticals of the parking solution not integrated together. Okay, and I do recommend to make that step. To go for a wide number of sales channels, to integrate them and to make a unique enforcement from there. But of course, this will recommend a change of regulations within the city. Okay. Also to individualize the parking, so to what we call pay by plate. So whenever you make a parking session, that you enter your license plate, so you got also individual rights. Thanks to this, so it's very important in that way to change the regulations and to set examples. And I think fastPark today is doing a lot of efforts to set those examples into the market, and to progress from references. But therefore, obviously, cities needs to follow and very much adopt local regulations. Through a parking association, for instance, you can maybe force more national or a nationwide program on on-street parking.
This is the reason that we try to promote with fastPark more information about the beneficiaries of smart parking system.
Yes.
And also this is the reason that we try to create different let's say small project pilot that can be easily implemented, because even from this experience, a city, a town can see what are the beneficiary, and why not they will try to create or to replicate a bigger one.
Yes, we are on the good way, I think, for this.
From my point of view, we are on the good way in Romania. Stephen, once again, thank you for this interview.
Thanks for having me.